You're strong.
I know.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I'm here with Brit. What's up, Brit?
Hello, hello.
And today we are talking about Superman Wonder Woman Volume 2, War and Peace by Charles Soule and Tony S. Daniels, the masters of these two characters. And so the way this is going to work, so we're talking about Volume 2 this week. Next week, we're going to do 3, 4, and 5 as like one. We're going to discuss all of them in 1 week because we don't want to extend talking about the really bad books. So
And also have like 3 episodes of bleeping.
Oh yeah, because thank you for trying to save my sanity in the edit, because I'll have a vein popping out of my forehead as I review this. It'll be like in an anime where all of a sudden you have that weird tic-tac-toe symbol on someone's head. That'll be me. I've been watching a lot of Digimon, so there you go. But so Volume 2. So the thing about Volume 2, and that's really cool, is that this is the way they did the death of Superman, but did it in a new 52-y way, which is interesting because this is why, and Britt, you even said this when I had Sam Liu on, this is what they should have done for the DCAMU.
Yes. Like
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are going to have the continuity of those animated movies were New 52.
Yeah.
Adapt New 52.
That's what they even called them internally. They called them in the 52 continuity.
Yeah, why go back and do, first of all, Death of Superman? I can't stand that storyline. It's just it's very much a pet peeve of mine because it's very shallow. And I think what really gets me is the fact that we heard from the documentary of it wasn't a gimmick.
It was definitely a sales gimmick, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's even more so why I don't like it. And then after everything with Superman, it's like that's all you can bring up is that he died by Doomsday. Okay, well, within that and how logical I think that I think of things too deeply is like, well, he didn't have to die because you have Wonder Woman and she was conveniently, purposely MIA for that story. And the fact that she can beat Doomsday if you have Clark and Diana tag team, or she can revive him, So technically, there is no death of Superman when you have these other powerful characters, and you have to purposely nerf them. And I hate the nerfing, especially with Diana.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If there's one person that could probably solo Doomsday, it's Diana. If you really think about it, it's like, I mean, it would be a difficult fight, and I would 100% pay for a comic book that's just Wonder Woman versus Doomsday. That would be dope. But I still think she could have soloed him, which is why the Death of Superman animated movie makes no sense. And we'll get into that because the way this is going to be structured is we're going to go through the book again, Volume 2, like we did last week. And then we have a PowerPoint all prepped up. But part of it is I talk about why the Death of Superman animated movie makes no sense. And we're going to talk about how we would do a Superman doomed animated movie. So let's hop into this and talk about this terrific book. Here's the thing, Britt. It's not as good as Volume 1 because it's a tie-in book. And the problem with this, when I was reading this for the first time, is I kept going, what the hell is going on?
Exactly. Even with the fact that they have the like at the beginning of it, they have the recaps, it's still the fact of we have no idea what's going on without having the other books. And that is the one thing that they shouldn't have done with this volume is what they should have done is just let Charles like start his other arc,
Hmm.
or start another one. And really, with every book, when you have a crossover, just like have those issues and put them within that, and then the issues that start another arc, have that be volume whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is very messy, and it's only a selected, it's kind of like you only have to really just have those certain selected scenes that you like or something like that.
Which I have in the PowerPoint as well, but I wanted to bring up. So what I got out, because when Talati and I also covered this on his show, Snyder Fans Read Comics, I have the volume 1 trade here, but I also have, which made this trade so much better, the complete Superman Doomed trade. That's basically an omnibus. It includes all of this, but also all the context.
Right.
So
That's what they
yeah, go
should have
ahead.
done. That
Yeah,
I'm saying, yeah, that's what they should have done.
but so for like context, previous volume, in the beginning, Wonder Woman encountered Doomsday. And again, this was Doomsday's first appearance in the continuity, as far as I know. They kind of hint that like Clark has encountered him before, but as far as the audience knows, this is Doomsday's first like seeing of Doom. This is the audience's first viewing of Doomsday. So immediately you're like, okay, they're going to do like a variation of the death of Superman. And what they do here is so much better. So we start off and we have a little bit of teasing of some stuff from the beginning and a Future's End story that for some reason they put in this trade, even though it makes no sense. We'll talk about that when we get there. Even though, by the way, a lot of Future's End makes no sense. But it's one
Right.
of the two storylines, Convergence and Future's End, that I think killed the New 52, even though they could have had it reborn. Then we have this dope image. I love this. This is one of the things I loved about the New 52 armor, Brit, is that when he was training the Doomsday, it like shifted and like adapted to him. It wasn't like there was spikes popping out.
Right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that and that's the thing is that when people are like really bugging or whatever, complaining about the new 52 suit, it makes sense in the modern time because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it can adapt instead of ripping in the I get, Martha made the suit, but at the same time, logically and realistically, it would look like pajamas.
Actually, a
So,
viewer on I think it was on one of my recent videos had an interesting idea. You could do both if you were to do this in the movie. Have the suit that the mom made be like his startup rudimentary suit. It gets like damaged or destroyed in like battle, and then he gets the Kryptonian armor suit.
I mean, and honestly, that suit, what Martha would have made, I mean, the first battle, it would be destroyed. So he might as well just start off with the
True.
Kryptonian suit. So, I mean, the only thing really that he could get from the Kents to me is the fact of his morals and his values and just his, that quote unquote down to earth attitude, the laid back attitude that he has, that homeliness, country boy vibe, but not a galoot, nothing like that. But just that, just that laid back kind of vibe. But everything else, it comes from the Kryptonian side. Like
Yes,
that, that's
which is
it.
what I love. So we start off. So there's like a quarantine going on in Smallville, and that's partly because when Doomsday first showed up in the New 52, they added that he has like this atmosphere around him that will kill everything, which is partly why Superman had to go in and fight him. And I love this line when Superman goes to fight Doomsday, when Wonder Woman goes, go kill that monster and bring me his head. And then Superman goes, that's the most romantic thing you've ever said to me. I love that. So then we get Diana. She's walking into Clark's apartment, and then she sees like a destroyed door. And the context is that Superman hasn't been like seen for a while. But I love how she has a Superman keychain. Really appreciate that.
Yes, right.
She walks in, and the apartment has seen better days. And Clark is basically like, he's kind of acting a little strange because the Doomsday virus also kind of affects his mind and that he becomes more like he becomes the way Superman normally is if he's exposed to red kryptonite, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
he's
almost like Brit did a story where he got exposed to red kryptonite.
right. And his attitude is very it's 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 more so like his if he had insecurities, is being vocalized too.
Which more on that in a second. So, but I just again, I just love the art, and I like the use of shadows where it takes time to reveal what Clark looks like. And this is where I first noticed that like Wonder Woman is always wearing the tiara. She just uses it as a headband, which I guess she could still like explain it and say, "I got a custom Wonder Woman headband." If anyone ever asked. So then we see Cat Grant, and obviously the Clark Metropolis site like went nuts after revealing Superman and Wonder Woman. Then I love where where the Cat's assistant goes, "Hey, Cat, someone's here to see you." She says she's Clark's girlfriend, and then Cat's like, "Wait, what?" And then we see
Right.
that. Yeah, go ahead.
And I also and well, you was about to say it of Diana meeting Kat. And
Mhm.
then I love the fact that Diana's like her cell phone has the Superman S and then Clark as her background. It looks
Mhm.
like that is just
Yeah, yeah.
those details of Tony's art is just so good.
Because she would. And by the way, it almost reminds me of I think it was Ivan Reyes when they in the Jeff Johns Justice League run. They put a love note from Wonder Woman to Superman on the fort on the Watchtower, and we'll talk about that at a later date if we ever were to cover that. But I really
Yeah,
like these small details they use because yeah, they kind of rushed the relationship in the beginning, but it seems like here they're really showing they're using a lot of things to show you and not tell you that these two are very much like seriously in a relationship.
exactly. And the key thing is that you said they are showing it. And that's the thing. This book, yes, the setup was rushed because I think that what Jeff Johns and they were trying to set it up in the Justice League book, but it's the Justice League book. They don't
Hmm.
want to take the time to, just have this relationship, you know, taking up space. So you put them together. But now that they have a book on their own, you can go back and fill in those blanks. And I really feel like that's what Charles maybe wanted to do in later arcs. But, we still felt that they were getting to know each other and they were growing together still, regardless of if it was rushed. It's not and what I don't like is that with other couples, they can end up together instantly. Kind of like with My Adventures of Superman, how
Oh yeah, God,
you
Lord.
know, like the very first episode, they're like acting like they're so in love and they only knew each other for like 5 minutes. And just within that time span of maybe a week, and now and they're so in love, and people are accepting it because Lois and Clark is like that's the default. And another thing is so double standard is how they say Superman and Wonder Woman is predictable. Okay, isn't that predictable? You know? So
Mhm.
yeah, the
It's
build
not
up isn't
really.
there. So right here though, we do have the build up slowly within their own book. It's just the fact that Charles didn't have like he didn't have the breathing room really, but he did, as best as he could.
Yeah, he did. He did, and this is what I love because there's an old. I'm sure you know this a lot in terms of of writing, and I know it's a comic book writer, but it's like showing but not telling. Charles and Tony tell and show. They're doing both of them, and that's what's really cool is that whatever like Charles can't show because he's just writing it, Tony like brings out in the art, and it just that's why this pairing is my favorite pairing in the new Fit 52 because they worked so well together.
Yeah, and even post crisis, and you saw that with them not being together as a couple, but you saw that. with the art, it was conveyed of how they cared for each other, how, the looks or whatever, or yeah, their interactions just in general really felt like they were a couple. But with other couples, it's always a tell, like talking heads, the overly um odes and all of that, but you don't really have that story that could really show them together. Or you use other characters like how they did Diana with Rebirth, have her talking for, the rebirth status quo, whether it was her relationship, you know, throwing it under the bus, or it was saying, or she had to say, well, Lois and Clark's relationship is true, or, it's like that really shows how unstable, you know, that other relationship is if you have to use other characters and if you have to just continuously tell this and that without actually showing it.
Yeah, if you have to force it, it doesn't work. So then we get a flashback, and this is also showing like how the Doomsday virus is infecting Clark, and that so Cat rightly so is like, hey, I have to get the stories. I'm the publisher, but I have to get stories to publish. That's where you come in. And then he snaps at her because again, I think what the Doomsday virus does, like you said, it brings out his insecurities, but it also like eliminates all of his inhibitions because Superman would never like yell at someone like this, unless of course
Right.
you're Dark Side or if you're Bruce Timm. So then, by the way, a small detail again. I like how so the way the suit works in this continuity is it's stored in like an S sigil. You can see it on even Doomsday Clark's chest. It's like right here.
Let me see. Okay, hold on. This is kind of
Okay.
my
Uh,
own version is messing up. Okay, I think I'm back.
yeah, but on his chest, you can see even on the Doomsday one, you can see the S, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, right. I The thing is, what I love about that is that it okay, we were talking about the suit,
Hmm.
and it's true that what New 52 did was that it brought a lot of questions that you wouldn't have necessarily asked, you know? But it
Hmm.
was like, okay, where's the cape and where's the suit and the cape under his clothes? And it's the fact that the little seagull is right there, and it it can just everything can transform within it, the nanotech and everything like that, and it stays on his chest. So it can be, I think in Lobdell's book, I think it was like a shirt. It was like attached to a shirt before, and then it is attached, solely on his chest. But honestly, I really like that because it just gives that alienness, or they could have made it into a necklace or something. It's
Hmm.
it's just that whole modern, modernizing this instead of the weird he has to wear baggy clothes for the cape and the whole suit to fit. It's
That's
just,
really stupid.
yeah.
Plus, the S is near his heart, so there you go, right there. And he brings up something very interesting in this page. So he has the lasso. So it not only are his inhibitions gone, but he's also telling the truth right now. And so he basically brings up that he feels inadequate to Diana, and she goes, "Well, what are you talking about? I brought you to meet my family. You know how I feel about you." And then Clark goes, "Do I? I told you I loved you months ago, and you still can't say it back." That's the interesting thing about this because remember in volume 1 when he first said I love you, she said, "Of course you do." And then she never, which is is 100% something in New 52 Diana would say, but it is interesting how like she hasn't said it back, which again goes in the face of those people that say, "Oh my gosh, Superman and Wonder Woman are too alike." And I'm like, "No, because she never really I don't want I don't want to say she didn't like grow up with love, but she didn't really grow up in a society where you have to say I love you to your partner, I think."
Well, that's the thing because remember she didn't even know what like holding hands meant. Like
Mhm.
the traditional thing of romance the maybe the simplest things. She doesn't actually know. She has read books. I believe that was said within,
Hmm.
her time of on the island. She read books. I don't know if she had like picture books, but maybe just the words.
Hmm.
Um, so she didn't actually have that displayed though. And yeah, I mean, the relationship between a man and a woman, of course, she did not see that. And just the way the Amazons, if there were a couple on the island, I don't think that they really showed that like hand holding or stuff like that, or just the way that they say I love you is just different,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and that's the thing, because what this displays though, it goes back to cultural differences, that Diana isn't Americanized.
Mm-mm.
So
Nor should she be. She embraces what makes her different. But this also brings into the fact that it's like why this thing works, and we've said it practically every episode of this podcast. It's differing cultures coming together as one.
yeah, and so with her, she is more so showing her love. She doesn't actually have to say it,
Hmm.
because that is just the ways of the Amazons. They don't really just say I love you. Honestly, I don't think Diana really has said I love you um in any comics. I mean, not really. It's very rare that she would, but yeah, it's just a
I think
cultural
so.
thing. Like
And this
with
will be, by the way, this will be paid off in this volume, as a matter of fact.
right. Um like I don't Eskimo kisses,
Hmm.
different ways people greet. Some people handshake and some people bow. You
Those
know,
of you
th-
who have read the first chapter of Brit and My Story, you know what we're talking about.
right. Yeah, so there's different ways people show their love, people greet, people just interact within the culture. And again, so many people are so narrow-minded that like you have to understand the context and the character. And just because Diana isn't showing, in a way that we would think as American, no, if you are someone on the outside looking, you would understand where she comes from, and, like what this relationship means, and um what Charles was trying to convey is a cultural difference, but it's still the fact that she cares, you
Mhm.
know,
She
and
still
that
loves
is
Clark, and even
right.
on this, because Clark is a little bit of the old Clark is coming through, and he goes, "You may have to kill me because I'm afraid I'm going to hurt someone." And Diana goes, "We're not there yet," and she kind of and she still refuses to do that throughout the story. But I have a point I'm going to bring up, but I'm going to save it until we get to a specific part in this book. Then we cut to Lois Lane. Yes, I call her that. And then she gets she's like driving. She doesn't know where she's going. And the cool part about this is that this sets up something that, again, if this weren't such a tie-in heavy book, it would really help. But anyway, then she gets like pulled over by the military and she's almost arrested. Then Wonder Woman shows up in a very nice car. And the other thing that I really like, this is when they bring in like the God of War thing. She knows the name of every soldier and can talk to them in their heads. I'm like, that is so freaking cool.
Right. She isn't fighting. She isn't like pulling out her sword or anything like that. She's just talking to them within their minds, and she's like de-escalating the issue. And that's what her role was that she was trying to use war to bring peace, or like completely basically like no more wars, period.
Mhm. You can't always do that, but yeah. So it was more like, this is why I love Charles, is that he took a more nuanced look at the world of God of War, whereas Tomasi took the more simplistic route, which is just, she's the God of War, she lives off of violence. Okay. And I'm like, but literally in the first two volumes, they show you that that's not how it works in with this character. But still, it's like, And then they kind of they talk about how like no one is seeing Clark. That's why Diana's going to like the people closest in Clark's life. And I love how Batman is tracking Clark, and then he's talking to Alfred, and then Wonder Woman lands on his jet, and then Batman goes, "I'm gonna have to call you back." And then there's Wonder Woman. I love how really sarcastic Bruce can be.
And then it's the fact that Diana just like lands on the
Yeah, she's like,
basket. It's
yeah,
like
she's like, it's almost like she's like, pull over. They land, and this is when like Bruce basically tells her about the Doomsday virus, because what happened is that, okay, context time in this book, which the first couple of chapters take place before this. So Superman kills Doomsday, but to stop the field from spreading, he had to inhale it, and that's how he got the virus, the Doomsday virus, which is slowly turning him into Doomsday. And Bruce sees the blood, and he's like, okay, that's what it is. So then Diana is basically like, let me talk to him, I can calm him down, which again is like, it also builds into like Bruce's contingency plans, kind of, and they basically touch on this in later volumes, where like Superman is Diana's kryptonite. In other words, Bruce tells Clark, if she goes evil, you're the only one that can stop her. And it kind of goes the other way, except with this, it's more like you're the one that can talk him down, which actually makes Injustice all the more stupid.
yes, exactly.
But Injustice is stupid for many reasons.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we already talked about that with which that quote unquote Diana needs to be Maxima or Cersei in disguise or something, because yeah, she's not written. First of all, she has like no purpose. The only background she has is the fact that Tom Taylor tried to have like, ride the coattail of the 2017 movie, and then have Steve Trevor as a Nazi, and that's what made Injustice Diana, manipulative. But that still just doesn't make sense. If you already had like this guy as like some, murdering Nazi or whatever, why would you turn or help enable Clark be the same way? It's stupid.
Yeah, and again, why wouldn't you be like changed by the fact that you work with the JSA and JLA, literally the best men ever?
Yeah.
What it doesn't logically, because yeah, I get it's a different version than Diana, but that's why I approach my criticisms of Injustice. Why the internal logic of that storyline or lack thereof makes zero sense. But anyway, back to this.
Right.
So actually, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing is that it goes beyond an Elseworld at this point. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's just totally out of just yeah. But going back to this, yeah, the one thing that I did like, well, I'm sort of conflicted of that what they were trying to show within this of Batman asking Diana, did she check, was he at home? And she said she checked the fortress. And he's like, no, Clark's home. And for one, I'm like, well, if he's been infected and everything, why would he go to the apartment? That's kind of weird. But then at the same time, I'm guessing what it was trying to show was that Diana was thinking that the fortress is his home because, that
He's
is
Superman.
yeah. So I guess what it was trying to show is the confliction of that, yeah, she is trying to learn to balance the Clark and the Cal personas. Is that Clark has a home and then Cal has a home. But of course she will go to the fortress first because really, I mean, he's infected. Why would he go to the apartment? And then everyone else was looking for him. They didn't go to the apartment either before her. It's just some things to try to make a plot work. And like I said,
the way I got it, it kind of plays off of Volume 1 when you think about it, because remember, Volume 1, the conflict, particularly in the beginning of the story, was Diana trying to figure out how was basically, and this is why she went to Hippolyta in Volume One. She was afraid that she could never like embrace this double life like Clark does, and this kind of plays off that like she's still working on like on the idea of having two identities, which would come with having two homes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even with her conversation with Kat, she so naturally said that my name is Diana Prince and that, I'm a consultant and I travel a lot, that whole
Mhm.
thing. I mean, that works. I would have rather had the ambassador, diplomat, educator. Um, but, if that is her identity's, occupation as a consultant, then that works for her.
Mhm.
And in the traveling, again, it works for her because she's a nomad. And Clark, honestly, he needs to be a nomad. I'm so
Mhm.
tired of
I like
Metropolis.
that. I like that because because being a nomad explains why Clark Kent is normally in danger areas, and also it's like again, like we've said before, newspapers are dead, and like online journalism is the future, or at least it kind of still is. But it's like he can work out of his laptop, and that's kind of what we're doing in shelter. So it kind of works a little better.
Yeah.
By the way, it is fun, and now we can talk about the story without like going, "Can we talk about this or can we not reveal this?" It's so much more re- liberating, if you will. So she shows up, and I really like this. I like how we can finally see Clark. I want this as a McFarlane action figure. They had him in the suit with the Doomsday, but I want this right here because this looks cool.
I honestly want the statue,
Yes.
the cover with Diana in front of him with the sword and him
Mhm.
in the back. Yeah, that Beauty and the Beast. That would be the greatest statue. And
Yeah, because what it kind of shows is like she's. Oh, you mean like this?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's like she's protecting him. Yeah, I like that. That would be a great statue. There's so much potential with. Here's the thing, and again, Jim Lee kind of said this. These two can make the greatest statues, whereas opposed to basic as hell Lois Lane. I'm lame. I'm sorry, but I'm like, oh my gosh. So again, she's talking him down. And I like how, of course, Bruce followed her, but I also like where where Diana goes, "I'm not going to kill you. We're not there yet." And then Clark goes, "What makes you think I'm going to give you a choice?" And then Diana goes, "I always have a choice." It's like she knows in the back of her head that it could come down to that, and it kind of does later in the book. But she's like, "I'm not making that choice." So she's still hanging on to Clark. And I like how Batman shows up. And then Diana goes, "I have this. Go away."
And it's also this really counters the whole New 52 Wonder Woman was sword happy because
Mhm.
again, she doesn't kill unless it's like just she's, out of options. And
Mhm.
even with Clark, even with being with him, it still would have been an option, but she knew that no, it's not, where we were. And then honestly, the only time I can say that Wonder Woman killed was always bringing up that one panel from Jeff Johns' Justice League about, her villains because she
Mhm.
take care of them, but you never actually see New 51 Wonder Woman kill anyone.
I mean,
Like,
in Azzarello's Wonder Woman, you kind of do, but then again, is that even like because does that even count? Because that was very like isolated from DC. It's kind of odd.
but it's not that she's killing like people. She's killing
Mhm.
gods or
Yeah, it
or
was kind of funny because whenever I have an argument with people about if Batman kills, and I bring up like parademons, they're always like, "Okay, parademons don't count. No one cares if Batman kills aliens." That's
right.
that's the part that like no one says when they say superheroes don't kill. They kill literally every alien that shows up. So
Right. So I mean, if aliens are all right, that's pretty much what you're saying is humans you can't kill, but aliens and monsters, that's all right. That's pretty much xenophobic,
I was about to
that's
say that's kind of racist. But
yeah.
going back to this, I like how Wonder Woman says the man worthy of my love is stronger than this virus. And that is Wonder Woman saying, I love you. So she's saying it without saying it. And I like how after she says that, he basically is able to like overcome the virus. So I kind of like that. Because, yeah, that's Wonder Woman's version of saying, I love you, because she's saying, no, you are worthy of my love.
And I just love this
Mm-hmm.
this panel. It's
Mm-hmm.
drawn so beautifully.
So
And,
tender.
yeah, and Diana, she just looks so concerned. I mean, and the colors, it just pops.
Yes, I love that. It's again, it's Tony Daniel art. How can we not like love this? And then we cut to okay, the next volume. So what? So context time again. I'm gonna be doing this a lot because again, tie-in volume. So to fight Super Doom, their idea is to okay. So their idea, they detonate Metallo over the world, and it covers the earth in kryptonite gas. That's definitely not going to cause an ecological disaster, but don't think about that. We have to fight Super Doomed. And we get kind of a mindscape thing between Clark and Doomsday, and they kind of, and Marvel does this with the Hulk, which I kind of like, how you can see like the two different personalities. Obviously Doomsday is more like bloodthirsty. In fact, he even says in the bottom panel, everything dies. And Clark is more like, no, I'm going to get you under control. And then we see this, and again, while he's down there, while he's on Earth, the kryptonite gas is what's like, it's what's keeping him as Doomsday because it's suppressing the Clark version. And I love Hessia and Doomsday. That's a hell of a Freudian slip. Hessia and Wonder Woman are like having this conversation, and because Hessia is like a healer, and I like how Wonder Woman like begs with Hessia to help Superman.
And then Hesha, she also has her own armor that is
Mm-hmm.
like so
Spartan.
cool.
This is Sparta. This is just so cool. I want this as an action figure too. I'm surprised Hesha has never gotten an action figure or something like that.
Well, I think that because she was like, apparently she was a popular character because they had in Amazon like a mini series, and she
Mm-hmm.
was like the star of it, but it wasn't, it was her, but it wasn't actually her within this book. It was very
Okay.
confusing. But
Well, that's
yeah,
DC.
yeah. So I think that it was like I said, a last episode was that a lot of the ideas within Superman and Wonder Woman, obviously it was some investment, but they, of course, DC being DC, screwed it over, and something they still wanted to continue. So I'm thinking that Hesha probably had a um a a story arc, of her own.
Mm-hmm.
And then especially I think Charles, after this crossover, he wanted it to be more Wonder Woman centric. So we
Mm-hmm.
would have had Hesha more fleshed out in her whole background, and probably, yeah, just to really, implement their worlds together. But especially because Wonder Woman's world was a little bit limited with the fact that, yeah, the Amazons was turned into snakes and stuff, but just to build more of her world though. And Hesha was a part of that, and you could really tell that she was going to be like a big player. And the fact that, yeah, she does have this armor, it wasn't going to go to waste. So it had to
Mm-mm.
be something. But yeah, DC being DC, they just ruined it.
But speaking of Hesha, I just want to say real quick, this is random, but whatever. This is Comics League. We're random all the time. But I watched that video you sent me about that actress who voiced Wonder Woman in the comic, and I gotta say, yes, I want that too. Like,
Oh,
that was
yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
Wow.
Her voice for Diana was like, it it gave uh Dawson from the animated movies,
Mm-hmm.
but she had like a much more deeper and gave a little bit more exotic,
Mhm.
and sometimes I can hear that for Diana is like a
Mhm.
little deep exotic type voice. And yeah, her voice, Lisa Berry, her voice is just like perfect for
Yeah.
Diana. And it was just the way that the voice actors really just, I think they are together as, I don't know, husband and wife, but I think they were together.
Well, that works.
I don't know if they still are, but yeah, they, you can very much tell that chemistry was there. And yeah, DC really, they messed up the to have someone, convey that as a motion comic, give the voice to it. And just that first issue alone really showed, like, God dog, DC, you should have had the animated movie.
I know, and we'll talk about that later. So I love I love the way this goes, where Clark goes, "Okay, it's Hesha. She's a doctor. She's gonna help us." And then Hesha's like, "Die!" I just love, I love the way that works. And then they fight, and then I like where so Hesha's of the goes to the Batman school, where she's like, "Nope, he's too much of a threat." And even Wonder Woman points out he's not attacking, he's trying to hold back. And then I love where to get him to let's go. Hesha reveals that she's the one that leaked to Cat that Superman and Wonder Woman were together to kind of help the relationship along. And then Clark's like, and I like to say, Doom. I like to think that at that moment, Clark was like, "Okay, Doomsday, you can slap her around a little bit."
And he did. I mean,
You
and
did.
that's the thing. Hesha is kind of like, and the fact that she says she's a doctor and she's like helping her patient, and she says that the
Is it the
world is her
triage?
patient too.
Yeah.
Is so like, we really just, everything that Charles was trying to set up, especially with Hesha, with, yeah, she leaked their relationship, but it was more to it. It was like, we really need to know her background to understand why was she in man's world? Why is she, um kind of, you can tell that she kind of had this grudge too, more so. It's more so to why she did it. It's not
Hmm.
just helping the relationship along, but what more was it? And it felt like, yeah, that was one of the threads that was, dangling from when Charles had to leave the book.
It's called being a good writer. And then we get the fight, and then all right. So context time again. Being the daughter of Zeus, Wonder Woman has like extra powers, and what it was so I think this was a new 52 thing, and Brit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like the bracelets serve a double purpose for Diana in that they suppress her powers.
Yeah, this was pre-crisis as well. I believe
Okay.
it was pre-crisis. Yeah, the bracelets are for um the historical reasoning for the Amazons being enslaved, but also yeah, to suppress the powers.
Which I liked, and I like how she like glows blue and her eyes go blue. I like that. So she picks him up and takes him out of the atmosphere, and you know it's kind of funny. I would love to ask Lex, "Hey, listen, dude. Let's say we take out Superman. What's your plan to get the kryptonite out of Earth's atmosphere, or
We
do you
just
not
put
have
them.
a plan?" He's like, "What do you mean? There could be more Kryptonians that invade." I'm like, "Okay, dude, but we need the sun. I don't get why the sun." Here's my one thing, which there kind of is. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of a green hue to everything, but I'll take it. So she takes him out of the atmosphere, and he basically goes into self exile because like until I can manage this, I have to leave because I'm gonna hurt someone. And then I like how they have this nice little interaction where where he goes, "I'll come back," and he goes, "Yeah, you've only taken me dancing once." And then he goes, "Yeah, I didn't even show you my best moves." And then Wonder Woman goes, "You know, it did kind of feel like you were holding back." And he just pauses. "I will come back to you." And she goes, "I know, darling, go." I just love that.
Yeah, he's kind of like, okay, so she's trying to say that my dancing was like a little stiff. So let me work on that.
And then I love how the timing in this issue is so perfect because he's flying away And then he's attacked by Red Lanterns, which would be Supergirl, Guy Gardner, and I think that guy's name is Vrox or something like that. But the point is, he's attacked by Red Lanterns. I love how Wonder Woman's like, "What are you doing? He was leaving intentionally. What are you doing?" She's like, "Stop it. He was leaving."
He's like, he's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, what are you doing? And then, of course, this is another cover, by the way, I freaking love how it has the 3 identities of Clark, Wonder Woman versus Lois Lane, and we all know, yeah. But so then there's a battle Metropolis, and then we find out. So Lana and Steel are scouting space because I think there was like a signal or something like that, and you find out that Brainiac's on his way to invade Earth. So Superman unleashes Doomsday, and then they go ahead and fight Doomsday's forces. Then Lois Lane transforms into a Brainiac slave. So this is another great. This would be the Lois that'll be perfect with General Zod. Yes, there you go. Zois, anyone? Zois? And then we get Wonder Woman saving Lois. And then when I was first reading this, I was like, no, let her go away. And so they fight. And then I like how like Wonder Woman's kind of being tortured. And you could see like a patchwork of all of her memories, including volume 1, by the way, of Superman Wonder Woman, and including the original, like her older Wonder Woman stories. So it's kind of cool how like they show all of the memories here.
Yeah.
And then Metallo shows up, and we find out that Metallo is dating Lois, which I'm like,
that works too.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't see that one coming, but okay. And then we see Cyborg Superman. And by the way, so this version of Cyborg Superman is not Hank Henshaw. It's Kara. I think it's like Kara's uncle or father. It's one of those two.
Her father.
Oh, her father. So he's actually Kryptonian, which is interesting, I guess. And wait, was it that he got his like cyborg parts from Brainiac?
Now that I don't know.
I thought it was that, but the point is, Cyborg Superman has teamed up with Brainiac, and they're going to invade the Earth. And then I like this where like Wonder Woman takes out Metallo. Lois flies off, and then she goes, "At least my guy's here. Where's yours?" And then Wonder Woman thinks, "I don't know, but I know him, and he's coming back." So she like still maintains that faith/hope. Then we get Cyborg Superman fighting Superman Doomsday, and that doesn't turn out that well for Cyborg. And again, this is another cover that I would love to have as a poster. Like, look at that.
Yes.
I would love an action figure that's just Wonder Woman like glowing blue, and it's basically that. And then we get, Cyborg Superman gets bodied by Superman Doomsday, no surprise. And then we get the Justice League is trying to coordinate, but then they discover that like Doomsday is invading. And they find that out also by Steel. And Doomsday's kind of taking over. We see the JLA fighting back against Doomsday against the Brainiac invasion. And I really like all the art and designs in this. This is fantastic. Doomsday shows up and then just murders all the robots. And then, he super murders them, if you will. And I like this one because I like how many different characters are represented. Like you have the Red Lantern, Swamp Thing, our boy Arthur, the Teen Titans, even though their books sucked in the New 52, Green Arrow, Flash. And and I bring that up because that's the one book that everyone brings up as to the New 52's worst book was Teen Titans. It was bad. It was bad. And then Cyborg is basically building a portal to bring Brainiac ship in. And I kind of like how like Brainiac Superman has these like I like Doomsday Superman has these like shockwaves he can shoot out of his fists. And then Wonder Woman shows up and is going to go fight Doomsday because they're winning. She's like, "We're winning. You don't have to do this anymore. Come back to me," is basically what she says. And I like this. This is one of my favorite moments because Wonder Woman is basically at the point where if he advances any further, he's going to start killing people because he has that killing field. And now Wonder Woman has to make that choice. Like, am I going to have to kill him? Because we're rapidly approaching that point. And I had an idea, Brit, for a dark multiverse story where she does kill him. But remember how, like, when Superman killed Clark, the Doomsday virus got out?
Yeah.
What if
What if
she
it?
got infected with the Doomsday virus?
Oh, there's no way. Like, I think that
The
the whole world just,
whole world ends, but
yeah.
that would be an interesting Tales from the Dark multiverse if they did that. Plus, it aligns with like Greek tragedies, like she actually kills him. That would be interesting. And I like how here's my problem with this one. So there's a hole in Lana's ship, and she survives long enough for Steel to put a suit around her. You
And
don't
this is,
survive that long in space.
yeah, but they had to basically like set that up to have Steel and Alana be together. And that's the one thing that is another peeve is that they kept the Steel and Alana relationship, but it's
Oh no, it's
like
back.
for Rebirth and yeah, they kept it for Rebirth and whatever era they're in now. But it's so wouldn't you kind of question where did it like stem from? So you will go back
Yeah.
to New 52 and then that will lead to more questions of okay, this is New 52. Superman is in a relationship with Wonder Woman, he's younger. All of these different questions, but you're cherry picking that this actually happened, this didn't happen, or now because everything is so confusing, or you have to gloss over everything, is everything happened, but it didn't happen the way we first read it, or
Again,
something like that.
DC's canon is a mess, but remember, it's all canon. And
But
before anyone says that, well, they mean it like that. Yeah, they did. Here's how I know that. In Death Metal, Wonder Woman's lasso, they show the lasso strands going into everyone's head. And then the caption is, all of our histories become one history. So I'm like, I get what you're going for, but that's literally the stupidest thing you could have gone for. Because here's the problem with saying everything's canon. What about Wonder Woman's 3 origins?
yeah. I mean, everyone pretty much has like multiple origins except for Batman and Green Lantern. That's it. Like it's back to pretty much square one of the New 52 mess. It was only because Batman had like 5 Robins within 5 years. And then you have, Green Lantern still having his history, but everyone else is rebooted. Then you wanted to implement Death of Superman. Then, just it's still a mess.
It
But
really
now
is.
now it's even more of a mess because you have Wonder Woman. She was from the First World War. Then now and as the first hero ever. But her supporting cast is like young now. So how are they in present day? That doesn't make sense. Then you have Superman. His whole thing is basically just what's messing up Superman is John's existence because he
Well,
doesn't
yeah.
fit within the timeline. So, and wanting him to be like still young. So if I think Jerkin said that Superman was still like 38. It's like, okay, how can he be 38 with John being 10 um or now that he's aged up, he's like now 20. So you're saying that Clark is 38 but John is 20? I no, that
Watch, they'll
doesn't work.
try and retcon it. So Clark had John, but Wonder Woman is actually John's mom from like when they were briefly together in canon. They'll try and like do that to one character assassinate Diana, but also do it to try to explain it, but it still won't work because these again, like you said, none of this makes sense. So then we get Wonder Woman like, okay, you know what? I may have to kill him. And I like she's like almost there, and then she swings the sword because the idea is that the Justice League is trying to figure out a way to get the kryptonite out of the atmosphere so Clark can regain control. And I like how close she comes to chopping off his head. I mean, look at him right there. He's like, nope, I'm back. Stop it. Stop it. Don't
And
stab me.
and honestly, that was like such a dramatic moment. And I
Mhm.
can remember when some, of course, Lois fans was like, they were really trying to villainize Diana at that time. And it was like he wants to really kill him or something like that. It was basically displayed as a very much dramatic moment of you see her facial expression that it's not what she wants to do, but um it's like what she has to. And it's it's really just showing that, you know, this is the sacrifice that Clark and Diana would make.
Pun
That,
intended.
yeah, that it, even if it would hurt them, that's something that they would do.
But
On
and
the
remember, actually in volume 1, the world comes first.
Right. But while Clark, he would, like in the Rebirth Drowned story, he let thousands drown while he go take, Lois to the fortress. Or Diana with Steve, well, I can say that within comics, I don't think she ever did anything to put like the whole world in danger. It was pretty much maybe like losing her powers, I would say, like, getting rid of her powers for him. But that's mostly within the 84 movie. So yeah, they have to be like, for Lois and Steve, they make such selfish decisions, but together you see them that they actually, without any hesitation, they would make a sacrifice.
Yeah. And again, pun intended. But so he breaks out, and then we get this massive Brainiac ship, which I'm like, uh, that is actually terrifying when you see. Here's the Earth for scale. I'm like, well, they're screwed.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? It's just kind of funny. Every time I see this image, it doesn't look that impressive until you see the scale of the Earth compared to the ship. Like, it could eat the Earth in one bite.
Right.
Now that's an image I want. Now that's a dark multiverse world. But I'm like, this also makes the Skull Ship and like Suicide Squad kill the Justice League look a little small. But then we get to our next image, and this is another cover that I so love, and I like how it kind of looks like she's stabbing him, so it's kind of like you were close to that. But then I love the scene. So Mongol and like a Kryptonian get out of the Phantom Zone, and they want to check out what's going on. They see Brainiacs invading, and they're like, "I'm out, back to the Phantom Zone." It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite moments.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, all of this is getting out of hand, even if the villains, they basically like, well, shoot, I can't do anything. I'm just supposed to like just go hide my own self. Like, we're screwed.
Yeah, it's like the Kryptonian said the zone was bad, but being bottled would be worse. And then Mongo's like, "Yeah, I agree. There's battles in the suicide. Let Brainiac have them." So then Superman and Jean save Steel and Lana, obviously, and Cyborg, and they get back. And then Superman fights. They all fight Brainiac. And then, first off, this is also where we get the world comes first. It was a deal we've already made. It's actually right up here. And I like how Wonder Woman goes. We've never had to say it out loud, but we know. I think the moment that stops, so do we. In other words, if ever there were a situation where we were unclear if the world came first, that's when the relationship would end. And then
Exactly.
I dig when he goes, Diana, we're out of choices, but you know what? Let me save them, and then I'll save you. And then Diana goes, I'll race you. Meaning she go, no, I'll save you first. And then he's like, no, I'll save you first. It's kind of like their version of that really annoying couple argument thing, and I really like
Right.
that.
Right. And again, the whole counter, it's kind of like no one, of course, they're not going to read it, they're not going to comprehend it or whatever, but no one read this book, or like, you can any quotes or whatever within this book can counter any argument. To say that Clark and Diana, uh, them being together is like gods being together and they lose humanity and everything like that. Within this book, it shows that they cared so much about the world and to be the heroes that they are. And it was stated multiple times throughout this book, or at least through Charles, was that the world came first and that they would make the sacrifices. And that, yeah, she wanted to race to save the world and to save each other. Like, who does that? But then you have where they romanticize the fact of Clark, especially Clark, when being with Lois, is that he will like let the world burn in order to save her.
Yeah,
You know,
that is completely stupid. And that's why this works, because they can also have a little fun game. And this is like this is the type of romance that you can only get with Superman and Wonder Woman, to quote Jim Lee. So she goes into the Phantom Zone, and first of all, I love the way that this is depicted with like everything being like snowy. And then she's
yeah.
like, and then I love Wonder Woman. I need to borrow War World, and he's like, what?
And
And
she's
then
so powerful. Like
yeah.
the fact that she can control it is just so, like this shows how powerful she is, and this just the ideas of what you can do with Diana, and especially with her with being the goddess of war, was that she was powerful to control villains. In the sense of, or or the army to, like I said, it's a very ambitious type mission to abolish war completely, but she wanted to use it to her advantage to bring peace and de-escalate situations. And yeah, that's just really just cool ideas all around.
Yeah, and then Superman unleashes Doomsday, because it's like they're completely like at the wits end. In other words, that they're like there's no other choice. And I like how they draw Warworld to look like the Death Star from Star Wars. So for the uninitiated, i.e., Brit, the Death Star was a space station made in Star Wars to tend to blow up planets, and it looked just like that. So
Oh, wow.
because you haven't watched Star Wars, I have to explain that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Jeez, I still can't believe it. I didn't know there were any people left that didn't watch Star Wars. I'm like, what?
I I'm going back and watching a lot of stuff that I guess that for time, and just my interest of, if it's a lot, like if it's chapters or something, especially within a movie, um like a movie franchise or something, it really has to grab me, for me to sit through the whole thing.
I
So
see.
so with Star Wars, it just seemed like with starting out, it's kind of like, oh, what scared me was going back to watching and understanding the characters and just this whole big universe of or franchise. But now
Just
that,
start with the movies.
yeah, but now that you've kind of explained it, condensed it a little bit, it's kind of like, okay, so let me take my time. And of course, like I said, give time permits, then I can sit and actually watch and understand the characters. So yeah, you can explain it still, but I'll
I
watch the
gotcha.
movies. Yeah.
So, and then Doomsday takes over, and then we get, I believe, is this the last issue of this volume? It might be of this arc. It might be. I really hope it is, because I'm getting annoying by having to like explain all this. Actually, no. All right. So actually, the Doomsday arc is over, and this is
Yes.
why the tie-in thing sucks. So the way
Yeah.
Superman beats him is that they fly into his Brainiac ship. Superman throws into a black hole. He like, I guess, exhales Doomsday into the black hole. I have no idea. The image is really confusing. And then Clark like gets caught in the black hole. So all right, okay. So we catch up with Wonder Woman. She had just taken down Gigant in the middle of a stadium. She hears the wind behind her, and then we get the coolest image ever: Superman with a beard. And I want this
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
Why can't Clark have a beard?
Well, first, okay, so first I have to give a shout out to Jack Herbert. because
Hmm.
his art is amazing. He
Hmm.
can really the way he drew Wonder Woman. It was a commission for another Superman and Wonder Woman fan, and he has, I think it's 3 or 4 other commissions. And the way he Alex Ross, his
Hmm.
inspiration.
I
And I
could see
mean,
that.
that is so, like, I will send you the image, but it's so perfect. He re-imaged a Linda Carter photo shoot as
Hmm.
Diana and John and Laura, and it's
That's where
just,
that came from.
yes. And also the pregnant is one with Diana's pregnant. There's another one where they are having a picnic.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is his artwork, and it's just like, oh my God. Like, if they were to have a Kingdom Come sequel or something like that, if, well, you have to have Alex
Well,
within
they
it,
do
but
have a
if you,
Kingdom Come sequel, Brit. It's called The Kingdom.
well, I mean, it's kind of like a unofficial sequel, you
Hmm.
know, but the proper sequel. If
Hmm.
Alex, if it could be both of them working together, you couldn't really tell the difference of like the art. Um, it is just so good. So just Jack's whole process, and he's a Superman and Wonder Woman fan. He loves the couple, and just the way the expressions and the Clark's beard, it's just like, oh my God, he made this. We needed it, and with this though, of course, Jurgens did not like it. So he had something to say about it. And what was funny too was that I don't know I think it was Greg Pak
Hmm.
in Action Comics, I think, but Lois had a problem with it, like, of course, with this Lois already not pretty much being friends with Clark, and just her attitude, but she didn't like it, you know, either. So, but within Rebirth, you had the older Superman with a beard, because a lot of people actually did like the super beard for New 52 Superman. So, of course, you take one thing that supposedly is hated or whatever, and you implement it on another. And it didn't really feel the same the way that it was drawn, or just that it made Superman old, like an old man with Rebirth. But New 52, it gives him, because he's still a younger version. He's, if you want to go with that hipster vibe or whatever, it just worked. But
Hmm.
yeah, the fact that a lot of things that it seemed to be quote unquote hated, but actually praised within New 52, and then they tried to bring it over for it to be with Rebirth Post Crisis Superman. Yeah, that was, I really
It's
don't
it's
want.
it's a ridiculous amount of gaslighting, is what it is.
Exactly, exactly.
So I like where she goes. So what's with the beard? He goes, I couldn't find a mirror, and that's basically a reference to the Superman animated series, where it shows how he shaves. He just shoots his heat vision into a mirror, and then they make out. And then the relationship's already public, so it's not really a big deal. But it's like now Clark is like a little more open with the relationship. She goes, "Yeah, let them look." And then we get. I was like, go ahead. You want to say something?
And here you go with the character development and the character growth of them both, is that Diana, she is aware of his privacy. She's like, what about your privacy? I was happy to see you, but the emotion that I let out, though, you know, very much aware of it. But then Clark is like, you know what? Screw it. Let them look. Let them see us together. And that just shows how, yeah, they both learned from each other. Diana understood and learned the importance of privacy, and the pretty much the advantage of having a secret identity, and she embraced it because she loved it too. And then Clark, he learned, he wanted to be more open, and with them going out clubbing And with their relationship as Superman and Wonder Woman being open, it's like, let's be free.
Exactly. I love that. And then remember that flower that Clark gave her that she didn't water? So the thing is, she brings it inside her apartment, and I like, by the way, the detail of the apartment. You could see her old armor from when she was on Themyscira, her training armor.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that is a nice detail.
Hmm. I like when the artists homage everything. Then she leaves, and then we see like a thing on like all the moments of Superman and Wonder Woman. And I like how one of the moments they choose to honor is the awesome "You don't know that much about me, do you?" And I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me more of that. And then we see like "For He Is Mine," the nuke going off. And it's like, so she hasn't been back to her apartment in so long that she didn't notice the plant turning into a killer monster. It's kind of odd. And then I like this image of him like of him holding her from behind. It's like very intimate. He's like, yeah, you can tell Clark is like, now I'm home.
And the keychain, she has the
Mhm.
keychain for her condominium too. That is so sweet. That
Mhm.
basically her keys are on the Superman keychain, and yeah, you did notice like the he's hugging her from behind, but the fact that she says that I thought you were dead, and he says I'm not, in the sense of like, it's kind of very subtle.
Mhm. Yeah. By the way, I like to think that on his keychain he has a Wonder Woman logo.
Yes, he need. I really wish that, like I said, Charles, he probably would have shown that they have keychains, or even Clark's cell phone, that he had like a Wonder Woman case or something. I don't know. Or that
Or like
he
he
had
had
her.
Diana's face as a lock screen or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been so cute.
So the creature escapes, and then we discover you have to feed it cooking oil, and they're kind of arguing back and forth. So you're wondering what's going on, and then it turns out it's Strife. But before she leaves, she finally says, "I love you," and even Clark is like, "Wait, what did you just say?" And then she just flies away. It's like
What's
it
funny
just
is that
slips out.
what's also funny is that they're arguing like a married couple,
Yeah.
like over the dumbest thing. That
Mhm.
just shows how, they're in a relationship, because you can argue over the dumbest thing and don't even know why you're arguing. You're just arguing.
Mhm.
And yes, Strife is she's manipulating the situation, but still the fact of, just the moment though, and for her to say I love you, it's kind of like she said it in a sense of, you already know I do. So it's not just a confession. It's kind of like just a known fact.
Mhm. But Clark is like, "You never said it." Oh no! And then he flies up and he goes, "Okay, so it's a plant. Who do I know that can manipulate plants? Swamp Thing." So he goes to recruit Swamp Thing, and I like how Wonder Woman shows up, and then she's like, and then Strife's like, I'm Strife. You can't really stop me from interfering in people's lives. And then Wonder Woman's like, "No, I can't, but I can make this as hard as I can." She like destroys Strife's little pool. So I love that. And then he goes and meets Swamp Thing, and it's the whole. They have a conversation. But what I like, this is another point toward this Superman. It's like a Swamp Thing goes, "It's good to see you. I still think of the advice you gave me." And the Superman goes, "We're as human as we want to be," and that actually it shows again Clark embracing both sides of his humanity. And I really and then I'm like, whenever anyone says that this version of Superman was not Superman, it was very dark, I'm like, what are you talking about?
It was only because he wasn't the galoot. He wasn't the sunshine and rainbows. I'm going to, go fly around with the American flag and have on red granny panties. That's the
Granny
only reason
panties.
why.
Granny panties. I love that. And Swamp Thing shows up and he's massive. And then it's like he's like, I can't talk to the creature. It's not from Earth. But then he figures out how to do it, and he talks to it, and the plant goes away, or like goes down. And then I like this where Clark goes, "I'm sorry about what I said," and then Wonder Woman goes, "So am I. I think it was mostly strife." And then Clark goes, "All of it?" And she goes, "Most of it. There was one part that I meant very much, meaning the I love you. I mean a lot." And then he basically he lets her keep the plan because he's like basically like, I trust you, and he goes, whatever happens, we are ready. And I love this final image of like the sun rising, and then there's silhouettes as they're holding hands. It's so romantic.
Yeah, and also the previous page when he says it's not easy. And
Hmm.
then again, it's this book has so many counters to all the arguments that people try to make against Superman and Wonder Woman's relationship. And especially with even Rucka was saying that Diana felt like being with Clark was easy. Okay, you can go back to their book. It was not easy. Their relationship being public, you have villains going after them. You had the gods going after them. This the perception of the world, you know, is how in reality how fandom is going after them. So how is that easy? I really don't get that. What was easy though was showing how you try to have again the traditional relationships that they don't have much conflict. They just, do some basic drama, it seemed like it's over the top, but again, you know that they're going to end up together
Hmm.
because of the traditional status quo. But with Clark and Diana, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they can stay together because what's against them is at the fact that they are of different franchises. They are under the same DC umbrella, but they are still independent franchises trying to make a relationship work.
Hmm.
That is what makes them not predictable. But when you have an established relationship within the checkbox of a love interest and it's traditional, you know that whatever drama, they're gonna be together. Or,
Hmm.
something like that. Even with Diana and Steve, it's like Steve, it was an old man for like 30 something years. And then now he's back as like this love interest, but he's not in it's a back and forth thing. But at some point they're gonna try to push him as a love interest again. And that's the same thing that Tom King is trying to do, in a very weird, dysfunctional way, but trying to have him as a love interest. Even Steve can't even like have a girlfriend that Conrad tries to introduce. You never saw her because stuck on trying to have him as a love interest for Diana. Lois, she's irrelevant and basically doesn't have a storyline if she isn't the love interest or the wife for Superman. So, you know, that's that. She's, I mean, even if she's the wife right now, she's still irrelevant because within the books right now, she really hasn't been really like, I would say she's featured, but not just like a main point as heavy as Rebirth first started. But yeah, that's all she is. Even her book that Rucka tried to have, he said that, she's not Superman's girlfriend. Yet Superman was still prominently in that book though.
Hmm.
Like it, she still did not have a solo book herself. So with Clark and Diana's relationship, we see that they are independent. And Diana, with how Charles book, it was equally balanced as much as it can be, and he tried to do it as best he could. Yes, this was a crossover, but still, it still had Diana's perspective here, you know.
Hmm.
So for anyone who keeps saying that if she's with Clark that she's going to be reduced, she's never reduced. She always has a perspective within the story. And
Exactly.
yeah, so with Rucka saying that the relationship was easy and how Diana doesn't know anything about romance, that just really just a slap in the face to Charles and to the fans of this of this book that we see the growth of both characters and how she struggled with that of, falling in love or whatever, or romance, and then for her to grow and say, that she loves someone, and for them to have this conversation of the struggle of their relationship, of, and being who they are. So yeah, I love how Charles really captured the voices of both Clark and Diana, but also showed this relationship can work.
Mhm. Yeah, me too. Then we get this weird story from Future's End. I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible because I have I have little context to this. So apparently, as the god of war, actually, so Wonder Woman has been like resurrecting like all these different fallen soldiers to fight against these dark creatures. So she fights them. Then, okay, skipping, we see Hestia. It turns out like the world is kind of ending, and Superman apparently retired and has gone to Africa, which I it's kind of weird. And then, so it turns out all of this is like a dream. And she sees Superman in some weird cosmic suit. And then,
What's
yeah, go ahead.
what was funny about this suit is that within this time, this was 2014
Hmm.
when the DL showed the board of what was coming up in the books. And so within the whiteboard, and I showed you that article of the speculation of Donna Troy introduction.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah.
and
It just clicked.
so what Bleeding Cool, they had the speculation and the rumor or whatever that with Clark wearing this, it was kind of like a foreshadowing or, some type of implication of Donna's old uniform. And it would imply that she would be introduced in Superman and Wonder Woman's book as their, you know, time time displaced daughter or something like that.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so it was weird to have him in this suit, but at the same time, it's like if you wanted to kind of implement this within a origin or something tease of Donna, I think it's cool. I mean, it's weird for Clark to wear it. I would say that mostly Diana should wear the black sparkles, but yeah, it's something like that.
Hmm. Then she kind of wakes up and she's like in a pit apparently, and what had happened was she was like stuck in like a simulation, kind of like the Matrix, and there's Clark, but the thing is it's Clark from another time, because Cl- uh apparently they broke up at some point in this, and he like effed off to Africa, and I'm like, okay, this is really odd. Again, it's Future Zen, so
It
I
was written
can't.
by Jargon, so
Oh, well, that
yeah.
explains it.
Yeah, breaking them up was like his thing.
Yeah, which I'm like, well, you vindictive a-hole. And then so Wonder Woman goes into like a temple where Superman has to like hold them off. And then she becomes the goddess of peace. And I freaking love this design for her costume as the goddess of peace.
Yeah. And also you have the meetup of
Oh, yeah.
Apollo, Clark and Apollo, and they call each other the sun gods.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, there you go. And oh, I love this. Wait, I thought at one point that Apollo goes here to gloat because of, oh yeah, sun god, sun god. I would have loved if like that they reference. Remember when I punched you to a volcano? Again, I will
Right.
never let that go away. That's so good. And again, I like this because she looks like an angel, which kind of plays into like what Steve Trevor usually calls her. And look, Goddess of Peace, Wonder Woman has pants.
Yeah. I like the gold and the white and gold for Diana, even if she wore like just a Grecian dress. It would be just something that she would wear, yeah, as the goddess of war, goddess of peace, or just around, that is her go-to colors or suit.
Hmm. And then we get some variant covers. I like this one because Clark's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, Diana has some thoughts. I remember the meme. This was used and it was like, I think she asked him, "Did you want to make super babies?"
It's also kind of funny considering you don't see where her other hand is, so it's like, oh,
Yeah, she had the
then
lasso. Yeah.
yeah, then we get this. I love this. Like, I like when DC used to do all those bombshell images that were homaging old World War II posters.
Yeah, this was pretty neat. Wasn't this a statue, or they were trying to make it into a statue?
I think they did make a statue of it. If you remember, speaking of statues, there was a storyline called Gotham City Garage, where all the DC women were biker chicks, and they made
That's
that
right.
based on on the statues of them on motorcycles.
Oh my God.
It was so good, by the way. I read that series. It's a freaking addicting.
New 52 really brought like a lot of different ideas. I know you have like the Jurassic League and the Mecha, like, but for some reason within the New 52 era, it just had so much, mm, I don't know, it was elevated to be something new. But
Mhm.
now that when they try to do something like that, it just seems so mediocre.
Exactly. It's because there were a lot of really great ideas, and I may cover a Gotham City Garage on the channel at one point. Then we get a this cool anime inspired poster and or cover, and I'm like, I kind of want action figures of all these designs,
Or an animated movie.
or an animated movie that would work too. Then we get this one, which actually was made into my phone case.
Yes. This this is actually now a branded image called the
Mhm.
Lovebirds.
Yeah,
So yeah, is
I don't know if I told you this, Brit, but on Amazon they have this. I can wrap my entire Xbox and
Xbox.
controller
Yeah.
in this. I kind of want that.
Yes, they have hoodies, sweatshirts, regular t-shirts, with this image. And well, you can't make this one into a statue, but something like
You probably can actually if you like move the camera out and essentially have it where like he's holding up his phone.
that would be neat. Honestly, just every cover with Tony Daniels' art of Superman and Wonder Woman should have been, well, just the whole thing.
Like this one.
Any image should have been a statue. Like just have a
Yeah.
Superman and Wonder Woman statue line, because I guarantee you, first they would be like, you would have to sell an arm, a leg, a kidney, your
I,
liver.
the reason why that statue is so expensive is because it's kind of oldish. I'm still trying to find it for a decent price, but that is my holy grail. Every collector has that holy grail. That's my grail. If I can find that statue for a decent enough price, it will be mine.
Yeah. This, but just every image though is, like you said, is different poses, different expressions that could speak to different couples. You have the Kiss statue that, like you said, it costs, you know, like I said, an arm, a leg, a liver, and maybe an eyeball or something
It
like
it
that.
costs a body. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it basically. And but like I said, you can have the Beauty and the Beast, with Super Doom and Diana protecting him. You can have that as a statue. You can have the first volume cover of the Shelter from the Storm that as a statue. You can have Jack Herbert's, kiss or their hug as a statue, as statues. Um, Ed Ben's art, you know, all of this art that, and the thing is, couples would love to have a Superman and Wonder Woman statue as their wedding cake topper. That's the
That's
thing
actually a
that
great topper. By the way, I'm looking up prices right now, and I'm seeing them. Some of them go as high as $700, and I'm like, do I want it that much? Well, this is what I need to add this to my Midtown wish list. Okay, good. So because Midtown has it for $150.
oh, that's
That's
not
actually
bad.
not a bad. That's not a bad price for a statue. But
Is
anyway,
that
more on
the
that later. But
is that the Christmas one?
no, it's the regular one.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal.
If they get it, I'll order it immediately. I need it. But anyway, yeah. So there's so many great images, and then we get this awesome zombie statue. We cover. I'm on statue mode right now, but I love the way this looks so much.
I mean, love never dies for sure with them because even
That's
as zombies.
Yeah, it literally never dies, and then we get the back end. So yeah, so we're done with volume 2. Unfortunately, means we're done talking about Charles Soule's time on the book, which I'm like,
Which is very sad. And like I said, within the back of the book, the fact of the genuine um reviews to say that they are redefining the idea of a power couple, and just the fact of, like, at that time this book was like a breath of fresh air and balancing out, even if people didn't like the solo books. Action Comics and Superman and kind of Batman and Superman were the books that really conveyed mostly Superman as, in a better New
yeah,
52 Superman in a better light.
he was the class. He was. If you like the classic Superman, I always tell people watch Superman, read Superman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman because they had that. So PowerPoint time. So again, the basic idea is that Superman kills Doomsday, absorbs him, and then this is where you get Super Doom, which again is a great ass action figure. Here are some of my favorite moments from Volume 2. Number 1 is the Wonder Woman stopping him with her god powers on. The whole thing where she like talk to soldiers. I told you I loved you so long ago and you can't say it, and then like again Clark going, okay, Doomsday, you could take out Hessia. She basically exposed my relationship with Diana to the world. But Britt, let me ask you, what were some of your favorite moments from Volume 2?
Well, all of yours pretty much, but mostly issue 12, just the whole issue. That really, like I said, I love Jack Herbert's art, and I wish he could have like drew more issues. Um, the Super Beard and just their ending conversation, really um solidifying their relationship, and also the where Diana says that she would race Clark, of saving the world.
Yeah.
And just those kind of moments, just all of those moments that really show that their relationship is more than just like, people say is two gods together. It's them being heroes, but also just being these free birds, but they just want to make things better. They know that they have a job to do, but they're trying to make it fun, and they understand the struggles of it, and but they are learning to understand each other and just growing together as a real couple. And that's the thing with, just like I explained earlier, that you can't do that with established couples because you already know what's going to happen. But with Clark and Diana being these separate franchises coming together, you can really explore and do dig into those gray areas that they are afraid or gloss over, because once you dig a little bit deeper within these other relationships, you see that, okay, maybe this doesn't work, or that these characters have to change, be belittled. Like Clark, you have to choose between, are you going to have Superman as Clark Kent is the real person and Superman is the mask, which still, that really just, within my mind, that is not clicking,
Mm-mm.
because I have no idea how you can make Superman as the mask when he's like he's he's an alien pretending to be a human.
Yeah, if anything, Clark
So
Kent is the mask.
yeah, so I'm not understanding how Superman is the mask or how the alien is the mask. That's just not
Ironically, that kind of addresses in a Batman movie. Batman Begins, where Rachel says, "Batman, Bruce Wayne is your mask. Being Batman is who you are." So I'm like, ironically, Batman is still informing DC Comics. So
yes.
now
Yeah,
let me
so
ask you this.
mhm.
So in terms of doing a crossover like this, while I enjoy Volume 2, this is my problem with it. My main problem with the book is that too much context was lost when you because that's why you have to buy the actual Doom trade, because it's like this starts off in the middle of the story, not in like the logical point. Like if they had included like the first 2 episodes of Superman that basically explain why Clark is turning into Doomsday, that'd be one thing. But it's like it doesn't do that there, or at least have like a page in the beginning that basically explains here's what happened in the Superman book. But the trade, at least volume 2, leaves out so much context.
Right. Well, with crossovers, the the good thing about it is that you can have the story where you can show the connection, connectivity of the books.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone is on this, well, they try to be, or, attempt to be on the same page. And the way Super Doom was, it was kind of bombastic and epic, and really showing the ramifications of the world. Um, that is the pros of a crossover. The cons, however, is that, yeah, with you like having part one, part two, whatever, in different books, and having a trade, you need context. And that is like I said earlier, if you're gonna have a crossover, how about just make specials, or just solely do that, like that event storyline or whatever, and have, yeah, special issues, and then let this volume or this issue start another arc that's completely just that arc. But yeah, messing up volume 2 really messed up the momentum of the book, because you have, volume 1 that's just one whole story, and
It's a
and
standalone story.
right, but then you have volume 2, which kind of just, it starts off good, but then, like you said, you're trying to understand, okay, wait, what's happening? And then you're lost. And even though the writing is good, the art is good, you trying to keep the momentum of the first volume, but yeah, it's still, you're still lost. And I think that was the downfall a little bit of the book, because it did turn into a crossover book. And it's kind of like, why would you do that? Why
Yeah.
would you?
Or at least the way, at least again, it'd be one thing if the trade included more issues that basically explained a lot of the stuff. Like if they had like the first 2 issues here, and then it like that they tried to like explain it and go, and in other words, if they included more of like the Superman book to like explain why Doomsday is here or anything like that, it would have been a little better. But still, it's like you still kind of exclude that, which is why issue 12 is so great because yeah, it builds upon the Doomsday story, but it's largely its own thing. If there had been more like that, I think I would have enjoyed volume 2 a little more.
Exactly. I mean, even with like giving Charles issue 12 as the you know, the epilogue or whatever of this arc or event, but also he should have gotten like another annual to really do like a whole nother, you know, story of Clark, show Clark and Diana going on the dates or showing them dancing, you know, going out to eat or something like that. That could have gave us a little bit more closure of him leaving the book as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at least I mean I know why they didn't do that, but it would have been nice if if at least issue 12 ended with him proposing. I know that they weren't going to follow through on that, but I'm saying in a perfect world, that would have been a nice ending if he was going to end it there.
Yeah. And also, like, because we are obligated for some reason to cover these,
Mhm.
yeah,
You had to remind me.
I, I mean, if you were going to destroy the relationship, honestly, the book should have ended with Charles. Like, it should have, because I really don't understand the point, or, you know, don't get the point of volume 3 onward, because you messed up the relationship. Like, Charles ended it with them saying, "We can do this. You know, if we can get through anything, whatever happens, we're doing it together. We've learned so much." And then all of a sudden, it's like a 180. Is definitely how they did in animation. It's showing like Clark and Diana, they are building their relationship. They're the movie right before this off-screen breakup. Diana's telling him that he can share his burdens with her, you know, and they are in a relationship. And
Speaking of
then,
animated movies, Britt, there you
oh,
go.
yeah,
You actually
this,
gave me a perfect transition right there. Like,
well,
wow.
yeah, yeah, this bleep bleep.
Mm. Yeah, very, very much putting in a bleep bleep here. So the problem with this, and Atchison brought this up in a comment. By shout out to you, Atchison. The problem with the DCAMU is that they started to take new 52 characters and force them into pre-new 52 storylines. But the thing about this, also, when you think about it, is this is almost like how every Flash movie has to be a Flashpoint movie. And I'm like, Superman has other stories other than the one where he dies.
Yeah, but like Batman said, the only time Superman is relevant or whatever is when he's dead. So,
But again, but I bet you guys are wondering, let's say you were in charge of doing a animated movie. Here's how I would do it. And then Britt, I'll ask how you would do it, but here's how I would do it. So here's what you do. Following Justice League versus Teen Titans, Superman decides he's going to propose to Diana. He's done. He's going to do this. Then the Doomsday fight happens in the book, not the movie, in the Doomed book. And he basically inhales Doomsday. It all happens the same way. That he's the Doomsday fighting the Justice League in this. And now the Justice League is trying to decide, can we stop him or are we going to have to use more lethal force? And then Wonder Woman is basically like, nope, let me handle him. And then she goes to go fight him. It's kind of like when earlier in the book, when Diana goes to Batman, I got this. So they fight. And Wonder Woman has to make that choice. of don't be that monster. You don't have to be that monster. So she has to make that choice again. Then she throws the lasso around Clark, and this helps him like overcome Doomsday and like expel him. Kind of homaging Justice League versus Teen Titans when he has the lasso around her and it like drives the demon out. She can even say, "Who are you?" And then he goes, I'm Kal-El," and then he expels it. And then there you go. That was my movie plot.
Yeah, or it can be Wonder Woman 170, was that 5?
Was that the one with the whole "we can heal" or something like that?
Yeah,
We're
when
gonna get through
Cersei
this.
turned him. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or
That
yeah, exactly. That can be after this, as a matter of fact. And because you can have like let's say this is like halfway through the movie. It doesn't even have to be the full movie. What you can then do is that the rest of the movie is him trying to earn back the trust or dealing with the guilt of turning into Doomsday, attacking Diana of all people, and dealing with like the political and the like backlash from the people of being a monster.
Yeah, but DC isn't
Mm-hmm.
they
DC
just
isn't
aren't
smart.
very creative. I mean, yeah, you if you were to have wanted pre-52 stories, you didn't have to do Death of Superman. Like you said, I agree with your plot, but all you have to do really is adapt this Super Doom and implement uh I would say Wonder Woman 75. I believe that is the issue.
Yeah, you can end with that. Like after he expels the Doomsday virus, that's when you get that.
Yeah, and you're still having pre-52 if you just have to have that within there. And you can also change the dialogue of her saying, or you're still keeping dialogue even within this volume of her saying the man I love, and calling him her best friend and, you know, I know who you are. And yeah, you can have a moment like within the Justice League movie when she said, um, tell me who you are. That kind of thing without nerfing the lasso and even having this epic fight between Clark and Diana, and it's very emotional. You can really have that fight be even more, like I said, emotional because you have them showing that they have to make, or Diana have to make this choice of is she's is she going to have to kill the man that she loves, or can she save him?
We
That's
can even have
still,
it where she's having nightmares of doing that. Like the fates are sending her visions of the future, and then she has the sword up, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to be a tool of the fates."
yeah. I mean, you could do so much with these storylines, but DC refuses to be creative, and it's kind of like, and then it's like you ask for or you expect new fans. You expect investments, money, or whatever, but you do like the bare minimum. And you wonder why you can't have a sustainable, fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And and just again with James Tucker saying that, well, New 52 was just for the younger generations, whatever. It's like, yeah, Sherlock, you needed the younger
No,
generations
duh.
to.
Well, let me ask you this: how's your sales going right now?
Right. I mean, because of, well, first, like I said, I will never feel sorry for the fact that of the blindsided being blindsided because, like, you blindsided fans that were very much invested in these movies and they were successful, and you totally just slapped them in the face by saying they don't matter.
And then
And
here's the worst part: you then try to use Lois as like a mouthpiece to say, "No, you shouldn't like this. You should like this."
yeah, Diana, use Diana as a
Mm-hmm.
mouthpiece
Oh, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
um, to say how she loved Clark, or her and Clark have this, relationship. Well, no, to explicitly have it to where Diana is like, well, I'm friends with Lois, so now fans should like Lois, and that's what James said. And then to say that Diana has a relationship with Cal, but Clark loves Lois, or
Hmm.
it's kind of like, why are you separating him, and why are you making it seem like Cal is like this, heartless alien, and Diana has a crush on Eradicator because he represents Krypton as like this desolate alien, you know, planet. And it's like, no, that is not
Yeah.
Diana. She did
You
not.
you know what's really funny? When I had to rewatch that scene for a problem with DC fandom video I did, and when as soon as I watched that and she goes, the one with the glasses is more my style, I'm like, oh good lord.
Yeah,
Because I forgot that line happened. All I remembered was her saying, what Clark and I was nice, but you're the love of his life. The minute I hear that, and I'm like, now I know why Brit hates this movie.
because I mean, Diane, to first of all, she doesn't know Lois, and and second, like, you are rewriting in what happened, and you're trying to double this down because no, they don't have a relationship. Like, you don't see that relationship. It's all off screen. So how can you use Diana to say, well, she's the love of his life, but and downplaying her own relationship? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And
Mhm.
also, yeah, for her to say, I like the one with the visor or whatever. Again, Diana is not like that. So why would you write her as someone that just cares about and try to make that difference between him saying, "Oh, Clark is the human and Cal is just the alien." Like,
This is why Superman sales are always slumping. But anyway, to end on a more positive note, let me ask you this: so where could Soul and Daniel have gone with more volume? So number one place I would want them to go is to do the whole time displaced daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman.
yeah, definitely. If they were to have had Donna, I would definitely love to see how Charles would write that. If that was the storyline, or just a mentor or something like that, or even if they had to make her the sister, Diana's sister,
Mhm.
it's still just the fact of mentoring Donna and her being, having that established relationship with Clark and Diana, you know,
Yeah, the
that
other
would
thing
have
that
made more sense.
the other thing they could do is have stories that explore how like Diana integrates into the super family, like how she relates to. I would hope they would bring back Connor, but how she relates to Kara and John Henry Irons, and like everyone associated with Superman, and vice versa. I would love to see more of Clark and Apollo. I would so love to
Yes,
see that. Maybe another trip through the volcano, just something. They could even have an arc where the gods are the antagonists.
exactly. Or even if they would have, at, at that time, they would have brought back the Amazons.
Mhm.
So have Clark, go to the island now, and now he's
Oh,
meeting the Amazons.
Wonder what they released. Sir, Hera even releases Wonder Woman's mother. So Clark is so nervous about meeting Diana's mother, not just because she's Diana's mother, but because she has a magical sword.
Right. I mean, that it really would have tied in to I think that was issue 4 of Diana
Hmm.
talking to um statue
Hmm.
Hippolyta. So now to see Diana come back and to actually introduce Hippolyta to Clark, it would have been a full
Or
circle.
what we could do is we could have it, and Britt, this is going to sound familiar, but we could have Clark go to Hera and basically say, "You're bringing release the Amazons and Wonder Woman's mother." because
Yes.
we could kind of start the story of like Wonder Woman being like lonely because again, even if you bring back the Amazon, she misses her mother, and Clark goes, okay. He goes to Olympus. Apollo tries to stand in his way, and he goes, "I will throw you through another volcano." So Apollo, and you can see Apollo just go. He doesn't even say anything. He just steps aside. Clark moves forward and goes, "Release the Amazons and release release Diana's mother."
Yeah, something like that. That I think Charles would have done something just really, like I said, I believe that the volume or, the arc after this was to be Wonder Woman centric. So yeah, we definitely would have probably had the Amazons back, a little bit sooner. And I believe he would have, taken a little bit control of Wonder Woman's world to explore more of
Hey
the
Charles, if
gods.
somehow if you're watching this and have watched through an hour and 54 minutes, we would love to have you on the podcast at any time.
Yes. And
Just saying.
really and I mean, if we were to have him, it would basically just be begging to at least do a Black Label book or just an Elseworlds. We're not too choosy. It's
I would
just
basically go, "Hey Charles, have you heard that Scott Snyder is bringing back is apparently doing an Ultimate Universe for DC? Hint, hint, massive winks. I would wink with both eyes. You know you can do that. You can even. I'm sure that the guys would come back. Just saying." And then no,
something.
imagine if they announced that for the Ultimate Universe: Charles Soule, Tony Daniel, Superman, Wonder Woman, and it's the new the Ultimate Universe is this, and then they go, okay, so everything volumes 1 and 2 is canon. We're doing the real volumes 3.
Yes, I
If
would
they
love
announce
that.
that, watch sales explode and watch Twitter explode as well.
Oh yeah, Twitter. I mean, I would definitely love a actual volume three. And yeah, Twitter exploding is at this point. I mean, they explode every day because they rant and rave about anything. They've already ranted and rave. What was that yesterday? Because uh, uh, was that yeah, Friday or Thursday about James Gunn um loving New 52, Wonder Woman.
As soon as I read that, I was like, "Oh, you got some balls, dude. That is not going to turn out well for you, dude."
Yeah, I mean, he honestly, James Gunn is going to say he loves everything, so I really don't understand why they would have such a um, you know, busting arteries just for a comment that uh, like if he loved, New 52 Action Comics, Superman wouldn't be a
With
galoot,
Lois.
and he wouldn't be Lois. And I mean, we would have probably had a Wonder Woman, announced by now. Um, yeah, so him liking New 52 isn't really saying much. It's just he likes DC, I guess. So, just those
But
little
Brit,
things.
don't take this away from me. It's very nice to finally see New 52 get some love.
That's true. And yeah, I mean, look at what they did for the 40-second clip of Crisis. I mean,
If there's another clip in Crisis Part 2, I can't wait to see what happens. But there's one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up, and that's why, to bring this hashtag full circle, why the Superman Wonder Woman book was really so important to Superman. Because here's the thing, and Brit sent me a list of the 30 highest grossing media franchises. Here's the thing about it: Superman ain't on the list.
yeah, he is. Yeah, I think I'm still looking for it, but it is like the top 100, and he's like not even top 50. So yeah, of course you have Batman because Batman is DC's cash cow, very versatile. Um, you had Batmania, and it's just an ongoing thing. With Superman, they keep holding the character back because with Twitter X, you have this, niche of Superman fans that think that they are like the spokespeople of just the overall comic community and just Superman as a character, period.
And you're not a
And
real fan if you disagree with them. But by the
exactly.
way, I had no idea Dora the Explorer was so profitable. Like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Nickelodeon, that whole thing, yeah, kids love Dora.
Wait. It is $15 billion. Wow.
Yeah, it's
That
insane.
is interesting. That's one of those things where I really didn't like expect, and it's like the number one is like Pokemon at like $92 billion, and I'm like, God. But Batman is on there, and you know
I
what's kind
think
of
I have
interesting?
found
It,
it.
it doesn't say DC, it's just Batman.
I think I have found the list. Let me send that to you.
Okay, then I'll pull that up then.
It's on Wikipedia, so it's not actually
Not as reliable, but it's a list. It's a thing. It's numbers at least, so we can like check that out.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll pull that up and I'll actually share it so we can go through this together. Let's do this. So Pokemon at $88 billion. Wow. Mickey Mouse, well, that's Disney, so big surprise there.
Right.
Winnie the Pooh, Star Wars. Man, Brit, you're really falling behind. Disney Princess. I'm going to continue to make fun of that until you watch Star Wars. That's
I
what I'm going to
know.
do.
I know.
Disney Princess and Pun Man. I have no idea what this is. Oh, it's a children's superhero. Oh, okay, in China. I mean, in Japan. Interesting. Harry Potter, 34 billion. No surprise there again. Barbie. Okay. Did you see that the Barbie movie made a reference to the Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
That was even Zach was like, yeah, that was great. I'm like, okay. MCU, Call of Duty, Batman at 29 billion. No, just Batman.
Yeah. Just Batman.
Hello Kitty is 28,000.
Billion.
Wow. I mean, sorry, billion. I'm tired. Spider-Man, Transformers. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting on that. I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, those Michael Bay movies really, yeah.
Mhm. Even though they were crap. But
Yeah.
Dungeon Fighter Online, I have no idea what the hell that is. Cars, Candy Crush. A lot of these, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, Ninja Turtles. Okay, big surprise there. Looney Tunes, again, big surprise. Dora the Explorer at $15 billion. Jeez. Pac-Man, Toy Story, JB, The Peanuts, Paw Patrol. Okay. The Avengers, Frozen. They really need to let this list go. Space Invaders, SpongeBob, Warcraft, Despicable Me, The Minions. Yeah, of course. Star Trek, Street Fighter. Yeah, still, the point is absolutely no Superman.
Yeah, Superman is
Watch the
way,
franchises. Watch the franchises. Oh, DC Extended Universe. That's $7 billion. I was about to say Zack Snyder's on this list.
yeah, Superman is way down.
Yeah, $6 billion.
6 billion compared to Batman's, what was it?
Hang
Uh,
on, I'll check. Batman's
29
was
billion.
29 billion. Yeah, that's not good. $23 billion away. That ain't good.
Yeah. So, so with this, of course, they have to probably update it, but
Mhm.
Superman as a franchise is like so low. You were getting beat by Hello Kitty. Like,
You're getting beat by Dora the frickin' Explorer.
yeah, Frozen, Paw Patrol. I mean, these for Twitter X fans to be like Superman is the best and he's the first hero. If you didn't have Superman, you wouldn't have any other heroes. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, he is very much in a it's so like mediocre. It's like you're doing the same thing with Superman has to be with Lois, Superman has to have the granny panties, Superman has to
Any pains.
it is. Um the whole like the idea of the saving cats out of the tree, the preachy, American flag waver type thing, that is not what resonates with the general audience, though. Yes, we know the Superman, the symbol. Well, you won't know the symbol, really with gun because it doesn't look like the S.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's still the fact of that's all people know of Superman. It's nothing really unique. And for you to start off your new cinematic universe with Superman, I mean, it's all right, but at the same time, he isn't like Batman where you were guaranteed to have that expectation met, with the profits that they want to make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then again, yeah, I'm still peeved, very bitter or whatever, the fact that they benched Wonder Woman because, like I said, you don't have to agree, with the politics that's around, you know, Gal and stuff like that. No, like, but at the same time, this is what the 2017 movie though made so much for WB and really pushed Wonder Woman's character to the forefront, to be taken serious, to have interest. And then, yes, regardless of 84, critically it was panned, financially it still helped WB with HBO Max and the Blu-ray sales. So you still had a baseline to not give up on that character. And yet, of course, DC, WB, whatever, did it anyway. And DC continues to neglect Wonder Woman's character because, of course, she's a woman. A main character as a woman, they don't like that. But Superman getting so many chances, and like I said, you don't know if the movie is going to meet the expectations. And I don't know. I just don't think um, that this movie is going to really wow the general audience. I think it's going to be um it'll probably make less than Man of Steel.
But still, again, it's like adding on to that. It's like then you announce Teen Titans, which again, Teen Titans before Wonder Woman. What are
Yeah,
you
I
doing
don't
here? This is
yeah, I
what
don't like
why
that.
I go against people when they say, "Oh, James Gunn understands the comics." Really? Real? He's adapting Paradise Lost, which, like I said on CLD, you can't leave Wonder Woman out of Paradise Lost. She's kind of important to that storyline.
Or even if you're just using the title, I mean, no one is really going to know what Paradise Lost is.
Mm-hmm.
Is gonna just seem like a show. Is no one knows unless you're a comic fan, no one knows what Paradise Lost is. So the title is just already messed up. And then not having Wonder Woman, um, if she is going to be introduced within like the last episode, still that first of all, that show, it will probably have to be like 6 episodes, as a because who cares for a prequel of the Amazons? I mean, you can really tell the backstory of the Amazon in 2 episodes if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or just have a long special, uh 1 hour special for it. So that I mean, it really doesn't make any sense. Why are you wasting time on a prequel when you can just introduce Wonder Woman? And all you have to do is really adapt Perez and um Azzarello. That's it. Just
That's
combine the
it.
two.
Hmm.
Just combine the two and adapt that as a Wonder Woman movie. And no more uh period pieces for her. Have her present day. And that's
And
it.
the other thing I would do, have it be directed by the guys that did like Clash of the Titans, the remakes, because they kind of got the way gods work. In other words, obviously don't have it be in ancient Greece. Yes, 100% do like the modern day, but you can still have like all the gods and the powers and everything happening. And you can even have her like here would be a good Wonder Woman plot. She has to team up with gods to stop the Titans from returning.
Yeah. You see, you know, just fly off with
Or
so many creative ideas.
I had the greatest idea for a story. And I've had this for many years. How about the Justice League going to war with the Greek gods? And here's the plot. The gods become jealous of the love and adoration that humanity gives the Justice League, and there he went, that used to be us. We should take back our power again to remind the humans who's really in charge. So they go to war. And then you can have like you can make this an Elseworld story where the gods actually take over. The way I planned it, Superman is like imprisoned in Tartarus because it's the farthest from the sun. Wonder Woman's chained on Olympus. Flash is somewhere. In other words, each of the Justice Leaguers is like held captive in a certain spot, and you can have like a certain superhero. You can even make it be Shazam himself has to go around and reassemble the Justice League.
That is so cool.
Again, it's not like these ideas take that much effort.
Well, it doesn't take that much effort, but at the same time, I mean, DC just they don't even want to imply the effort. That's the thing. They don't even
Effort in DC does not mix.
yeah, it's mostly just the same old, just, trying to get by. And even with now, it seems that even though I guess the artists like they would draw, it was drawn, but they use AI now, like a generator or whatever, to finish off the art.
Remember that?
Um, yeah, they are finishing off the art with AI. So yeah, DC is really going the cheaper route of with art, with stories, and yeah, I mean it's just all mediocre, and I'm not invested in anything.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I'm just like at this point. I mean, I want DC to succeed because I love these characters so much. But at this point, I'm like, I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. Because here's the thing, I always have. Because here's the thing, no matter what DC does with all these characters, I still have the physical comic books, so I can read these whenever I want them to. And I have the universe that Brit and I are building, so it's not like I'm not getting new content with SuperWonder.
Yeah, it's kind of like with what they're doing, it's just like you're wasting like you want like I said, you want the fans to invest, but you're wasting the time of the fans and the investment when you backtrack so much and you um and shy away from the risk. And that is the thing that Didio he admitted that they are scared of taking risks
Mhm.
and lazy. And yeah, we're pretty much seeing that laziness and being scared because you're having like with the Elseworlds, you're having sequels to stories from years and years ago. But, you know, it's not going to be the same feel of that story. That was years ago. It's kind of like at this point, it's kind of like how filmmakers are doing remakes of old
Mhm.
classics and trying to make it new, and it's just like it doesn't have the same feel or um yeah, that's that same interest or with it, with the remake, is very watered down, and that's exactly what DC is doing. They're just constantly watering down their characters, the storylines, the dynamics, and everything. And yeah, it's just hard to invest in it, and I really just don't really numb to it, don't care.
Mhm.
But like you said, we have our story, and that's pretty much it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I guess. But so Britt, I think it's a good place to leave it. So do you have any okay, so going forward, here's the plan. Next week we're going to cover all 3 arcs. We're going to briefly summarize our favorite parts from the Tomasi run, as few as they may be, and the worst parts of the Tomasi run, as much as those may be. So we're going to be a little more I'm going to have to bleep out a lot next week, but we'll see what we can do
or it
here.
might be or it might be a very, very short show.
Yeah, it might. Well, actually, we'll be going on for so many rants in this. That might be another 3-hour episode. But
Yeah.
and then after that, we have some ideas on what we may want to do. One of the options is how we would do DC Rebirth, and before you say it, Britt, not doing it is not a legitimate option. I have to say that because I know you're going to say that. But so Britt, do you have any teases you want to give the audience?
Well, yeah, like you said, we're just doing our story, and now we're playing the game of who can make who cry, you know, the
So for
most.
1-to-1,
Yeah. No, we're kind of like on your
200.
side. Yeah, you're like 200 and I'm like 1.
Actually,
Um,
you got 2. You got 2.
oh, wonderful. Victory of 2. And other stories, you know, I would say 50% of the last chapter of Special Bonds. And okay, so that is gonna give me probably 10 cries. So, you know, yeah, I'm trying to get that going. And yeah, just all the stories that I have, I need to just get back to the chapters. It's like a paragraph here and there stuck. So yeah, just finishing like the Athens story, the Aries story, you know, Diana being sick and Hippolyta and Clark taking care of her. Then, you know, one shots here and there. And also one shot that I've told you about that we're doing for, you know, tonight. And yeah, and just I want to thank everyone for supporting with the Instagram, and remember to subscribe.
Exactly. So it's going to be some fun stuff coming out. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane, and she belongs with General Zod. Zoas for life. See you later.